Welcome to HyperScale Video Workshop. My name is Brett Green. I'm going to do another unboxing video tonight, but it's something a little bit different. As a 10-year-old, seeing Airfixes as they were then very new 124 scale kits was exciting and almost equally unobtainable. I think in those years I might have gotten a Spitfire for Christmas at some stage, but the other kits remained out of my reach. Over the years, Airfix has re-released these kits, and quite recently they've done so again, this time the Messerschmitt Bf 109E. So when I saw one in a local shop for a little over $100, I thought I would get my wallet out of my pocket and see whether the model had changed very much in those intervening 50 years or so. Well, let's have a look what we've got. The box is big. It is big. And it's quite retro as well. It looks very much like the same style that we would have seen in 1970 or so when it was first released. But let's have a look at what's inside the box. It's just my trusty Alpha knife. There's 6 pieces of tape protecting its secrets. And one there. So let's take off the cover. It's quite a sturdy box, and the top is quite sturdy too. Okay, the very first thing I was interested in when I heard this kit was re-released was whether it would have the same light blue plastic that the original release had, and maybe it's not quite as sky blue as it used to be, but yes, it's a light blue grey colour. That's probably close enough for me. And I don't know if you can see, but this is all in one big plastic bag. So I'll grab my trusty Alpha knife again, and we'll have a look at what is actually in the bag. Now, obviously by today's standards, more than 50 years after its original release, we can't expect this kit to compare to a 124 scale kit that's released in the 2020s. In fact, we can't really even expect this kit to compete with a 148 scale kit from 2020. But let's see whether it has some sort of a charm that will compensate for that lack of detail. I'm just pulling the sprues out of the bag, and the first one that I have is the wing. And what we have is a combination of recessed panel lines and raised rivets. And there's kind of an oil canning effect, if you can see in the light there, with the panel lines, which I quite like. I really do like that surface detail. I like the combination of the raised rivets and the recessed panel lines. And the panel lines aren't quite as wide and soft as I remember them either. So we'll put that back in the top of the box. So we'll chalk that up as a plus. We have the starboard side upper and lower wing halves as the next thing out of the box. One thing you will notice is that the wheel well is basically a hole in the bottom of the wing. There is no wheel well detail beyond that, so it's just an open hole into the bottom of the wing. So something has to be done about that, I would imagine, at a very minimum. Next, let's grab what looks like a more conventional sprue, a large sprue, with, once again, that same combination of recessed panel lines and raised rivets on the fuselage. So that's pretty nice. This is quite a busy sprue as well. We have control surfaces. I like the approach that we have here as well with the rib tapes and no exaggerated scalloping of the fabric texture on those elevators and ailerons. So that's pretty good. They're separate and posable, presumably. Detail isn't too bad. It maybe is a little clunky, but it's not terrible. I've seen worse. And it's something you can work with. So that's one of the fuselage sprues. Oops. And it looks like this is the last sprue. Very small number of parts. I mean, oh, the propeller just fell off. Not completely sure about the shape of that prop. We'll have a comparison with what that style of VDM prop should look like. But there we are. But no, very few parts in this kit. Just it's just these 4 blue-grey sprues. We have the other fuselage half. You'll notice that the exhaust stacks are moulded as part of the forward lower fuselage, and there's no little luxuries like hollowed out exhaust stacks. So that's fine. Okay, there's the instrument panel. I wonder if I can show you that to you. Instrument panel is there. I guess there'll be some sort of additional enhancement. With a lot of the detail parts, I'm seeing quite a bit of flash, and also a little bit in the way of ejector pin circles. We have some detail that's moulded together for the sidewalls by the look of it, so there's nothing actually moulded onto the inside of the cockpit sidewalls, so anything is going to be added. I think I'll be adding a bit of extra detail to that as well. The engine looks pretty nice, as do the machine guns. So there's something to work with there if you want to have an open engine bay. That's all good. Next out of the bag. Oh, here's the pilot. I remember him. Hello there. Let's see if we can get him to focus. There we go. So he looks quite familiar. He's quite respectable, actually. He does have a back half as well. But yeah, he would paint up okay, I reckon. That's not bad at all. Throw him down there. Sorry about that, chum. Next we have a whole bunch of little parts that have fallen off. I'll leave them in that plastic bag, but we've got the cockpit floor and a few other bits and pieces. One of the radiators, the propeller spinner has fallen off in there as well. So I'll leave all those in there so I don't lose them. And we have here the clear sprue. And that clear sprue includes, I'll tell you as soon as I know. Okay, canopy parts for both the E3 and the E4. They're not bad, considering I thought they'd be kind of thicker and more distorted, but they're not terrible at all. And what we also have are separate clear parts where you push the clear part onto the back of the grey instrument panel for the instruments. I think I'll be doing something a bit different in terms of the instrument panel for my kit when I build it. So that's pretty good. And last but not least of the plastic parts, we have a black sprue, and that is the classic black Delta, if I can get it out, stand. So if you want to pose your Emil in flight, then you can stick it on the top of your stand. That's quite nice. I don't know if that came with all of the releases, so it's nice to have that with this particular one. Okay, next up we have the instructions. And one of the other things I was curious about before I bought this kit was obviously the box art showed you one of the marking options, but it was like some kind of a state secret to find out what the second marking option was. It didn't seem to be anywhere on the internet. Nobody's actually reviewed this version of the kit that I can see. So I was curious to find out the second option, and that second option, it turns out, is helmet wicks E4, which is the one that had like a really heavily sponged mottle on the fuselage sides and a yellow nose, so that's quite attractive. The box art option obviously is 109 E3 yellow 10 from the Schlager Squadron, JG26. So that's a nice option too. So there are two good quality options there. The decals themselves are really, really nice. Yellow, I got a bit of a thing about yellow, but it looks like Airfix have done a very good job at reproducing the yellow here. The decals themselves are quite glossy. I always get a bit panicky about satin coloured and flat finish decals, but they're nice and glossy, so I think they should go on quite well. They look very cartograph-ish. I'm not sure who actually prints them. But yeah, they're nice. And full stencil details are available too. And interestingly, they are including individual dials. That's a really nice touch. So you can do a little bit more than you used to with those very nicely printed individual dials on your instrument panel. Pretty good. This won't be a difficult build unless you choose to make it a difficult build. I'm going to make mine a little bit more difficult. I have already ordered a few bits and pieces from Hannants, including a Yahoo 124 scale instrument panel, which I think will make a huge visual impact on the cockpit. I've ordered some 124 scale fabric and metal harness straps. Also, Kevin Martin's wheel well insert. So he's created quite an interesting little resin wheel well insert that will block off the interior of the wing, which is nice. And he also includes wheels too, which is good because I think I didn't see them there. Oh no, there they are. They're vinyl wheels, vinyl tyres, I beg your pardon, in the kit, and I don't like vinyl tyres very much. And the detail's not great on the hubs either, so Kevin's wheel well and wheel set will help you there. And a few other odds and ends, I think. And I'll probably do a bit of scratch building inside the cockpit for the structural detail with various ribs and strips and so forth. And also some masks for the markings. But yeah, apart from that, even then it shouldn't be a terribly difficult build. And that's reflected by the fact that there are only 14 steps in the instructions on this very large scale kit. And the instructions look very typically Airfix, which is probably a good idea for a classic kit like this. And I don't know, I think I might build this one fairly soon. Anyway, it was a whim, I must admit, but at least now, after 50 years, I finally own the Airfix 124 scale Messerschmitt Bf 109E3E4. It's got all the bits you need to make either version. And it actually stands the test of time reasonably well. It has a certain charm about it. I quite like the surface textures. The detail is very minimal, but it'll be easy to tart it up a little bit. And I'm glad that I finally got it. Well, from Brett Green, this is HyperScale Video Workshop. Bye for now.